Konnichiwa minasan. O genki desu ka? Welcome to the intermediate course of my channel. Let's learn Japanese with Eric. In this lesson, we learn how to use the pseudonoun tame ni, which means for the purpose of or because of. Yoroshii desu ka? Hajimemashou. Tame ni is a pseudonoun that means in order to, such as when you say, in order to be healthy, I exercise. The in order to be healthy part is expressed using tame ni, purpose. Genki ni naru tame ni undou shimasu. Tame ni can also mean reason, because of, such as when we say, because of the storm, there's no school. Taifuu no tame ni gakkou ga yasumi desu. Tame ni can modify verbs, as always, in the plain form. It doesn't matter if it's non-past, past, affirmative, or negative. Same with adjectives, also in the plain forms. And tame ni can also modify nouns. For nouns, we need the particle no. Noun no tame ni. The particle ni is optional if a phrase follows tame in the sentence. So again, tame ni can either mean purpose, in order to, or reason, because of. So how do you know which one it is? Ask yourself, do you have control over the main verb? If yes, then it's a purpose sentence. If no, then most of the time it's a reason sentence. You'll see these in our examples. Let's look at examples that express purpose first, when tame ni is used with verbs. I'll have the English translation of the Japanese words underneath them, so you can easily figure out the meaning of the sentence. For example, 仕事に行くために車を買いました or 仕事に行くため車を買いました. Our main sentence is 車を買いました. I bought a car. And the phrase 仕事に行くために signifies purpose, in order to go to work. So the whole sentence means, in order to go to work, I bought a car. This is clearly a purpose sentence because we have control over the main verb, 買いました, which means bought. Next example, 車を買うためにアルバイトをします or 車を買うためアルバイトをします. Main sentence is アルバイトをします or I'll do a part-time job. And the purpose for doing a part-time job is 車を買うために in order to buy a car. So translation, in order to buy a car, I'll work part-time. And last example for purpose, 病気にならないために毎日運動します。病気にならないために毎日運動します. I fully express tame ni here instead of just tame because what follows after tame is just one word, 毎日, and it is not a phrase. So our main sentence is 毎日運動します. I exercise daily. What for? 病気にならないために, in order not to get sick. So translation, in order to not get sick, I exercise every day. The next three examples express reason. この辺りはバスがないためにあまり便利じゃないです. Our main sentence is この辺りはあまり便利じゃないです. This neighborhood is not very convenient. Let's talk about this neighborhood. この辺りは. What about it? It's not very convenient. あまり便利じゃないです. And the reason phrase, because there's no bus. バスがないために. So translation, because this neighborhood doesn't have buses, it's not very convenient. Now note that the predicate 便利じゃない, not convenient, is something we have no control over. Hence, the ために phrase here denotes reason. Do you remember that the particle から, when put after a verb, also means because? which also expresses reason. So we can absolutely substitute tame ni for kara in these kinds of sentences. And for the previous sentence, we can say, この辺りはバスがないからあまり便利じゃないです. Same meaning. Because there are no buses, this neighborhood is not very convenient. Now, the only difference is that using tame ni makes the sentence sound more formal, whereas kara is more conversational. Another example. 宝くじに当たったために彼はお金持ちになった. Or 宝くじに当たったため彼はお金持ちになった. Our main sentence is 彼はお金持ちになった. He got rich. Now note that we have no control over his getting rich here. So the tame ni phrase definitely indicates reason. 宝くじに当たったため, because he struck it in the lottery. Translation, because he won the lottery, he became rich. Next example. テレビはもう見ないため君にやる. テレビはもう見ないため君にやる. Our main sentence is テレビは君にやる. Speaking of the TV, I'll give it to you. And the tame ni phrase here is もう見ないため. Now our main verb is yaru, meaning will give, and it is something we have control over. However, the tame phrase here denotes reason because it is what would make sense. Because I no longer watch TV, I'll give the TV to you. Now let's look at tame ni when used with adjectives. Both I and na adjectives can be used with tame ni, as long as they are in the plain forms. When used with adjectives, tame ni only denotes reason, because of. It cannot denote purpose. Let's look at examples. Let's start with I adjectives. 暑いために窓を開けた. Or 暑いため窓を開けた. The main sentence is 窓を開けた. I opened the window. The ために phrase 暑いために because it's hot. Translation, because it's hot, I opened the window. Next example. 田中さんは忙しかったためにパーティーに来なかった. Or 田中さんは忙しかったためパーティーに来なかった. Our main sense is 田中さんはパーティーに来なかった. Miss Tanaka did not come to the party. Reason? 忙しかったために. Because Miss Tanaka was busy. Full sentence, because Miss Tanaka was busy, she didn't come to the party. And we can also substitute ために with から and say, 田中さんは忙しかったからパーティーに来なかった. Another example. 国内旅行が安くないため、日本人はよくハワイへ行く. Or 国内旅行が安くないために日本人はよくハワイへ行く. I just didn't type in the ni here for lack of space, but note that ni is optional. Our main sense is 日本人はよくハワイへ行く. Japanese people often go to Hawaii. Why? Because 国内旅行が安くないため. Because domestic travel is not cheap. Full translation, because domestic travel is not cheap, Japanese people often go to Hawaii. That's true. It's cheaper, for example, to fly from Tokyo to Hawaii than it is to fly from Tokyo to Okinawa. Now let's look at na adjective examples. Nihongo ga heta na tame, boku wa motto benkyou shinakia. Or 日本語が下手なためにもっと勉強しなきゃ. Our main sense is 僕はもっと勉強しなきゃ. I must study more. By the way, the しなきゃ conjugation denotes must, and we learned this in lesson 63 if you'd like to review the conjugation. So why must I study more? Because Nihongo ga heta na tame, because my Japanese is not good. So full translation, because my Japanese isn't good, I must study more. Another example, バスが不便だったために飛行機で帰りました。or バスが不便だったため飛行機で帰りました。Our main sense is 僕は飛行機で帰りました。I went home by plane. Why? Because バスが不便だったために because the bus was inconvenient. Full translation, because the bus was inconvenient, I went home by plane. Next example, 賑やかなところが好きじゃないため、彼は田舎へ引っ越す。or 賑やかなところが好きじゃないために、彼は田舎へ引っ越す。Our main sense is 彼は田舎へ引っ越す。He will move to the countryside. Why? Because 賑やかなところが好きじゃないため because he doesn't like lively places. So full translation, because he doesn't like lively places, he will move to the countryside. Next, we will look at examples using nouns. Noun no tame ni. For nouns, we can express either purpose or reason. Let's look at examples expressing purpose first. 家族のために頑張ります。家族のために頑張ります。Our main sense is 頑張ります, meaning I'll work hard. For what? For my family. 家族のために I'll work hard for my family. 愛のために死んでもいいです。愛のために死んでもいいです。Main sentence is 死んでもいいです。I'm okay to die. The temoi conjugation denotes permission, and you can review this in lesson 37. Okay to die for the purpose of what? For love. 愛のために I can die for love. あなたのために何でもします。あなたのために何でもします。Main sense is 何でもします。I'll do anything. For what? For you. あなたのために For you, I'll do anything. Now let's look at examples that indicate reason. 台風のために今日は学校が休みになった。or 台風のため今日は学校が休みになった。Our main sense is 今日は学校が休みになった。As for today, school is closed. Note that 休みになった is something we have no control over, so the ために clause most likely indicates reason. Why is school closed today? Because of the typhoon. 台風のために Full translation, because of the typhoon, school is closed today. Now, do you remember that the particle de also indicates method or reason? Hence, we can substitute no ために for the particle de and say 台風で今日は学校が休みになった。Another example, コロナウイルスのため世界は経済後退となってしまった。or コロナウイルスのために世界は経済後退となってしまった。Our main sense is 世界は経済後退となってしまった。The world economy is in recession. Why? Because of the coronavirus. コロナウイルスのために。Because of the coronavirus, the world economy is in recession. Now, we can also say コロナウイルスで世界は経済後退となってしまった。 Now, the te shimatta conjugation indicates regret, and it's a conjugation we learned back in lesson 42. Now, just one more thing about expressing purpose. When the main verb in the sentence is either to go, iku, to come, kuru, or to return, kaeru, we have the option of expressing purpose as the conjunctive form of the verb plus the particle ni, conjunctive ni. For example, Myari-san wa Todaiji wo mini nara e ikimashita. Our main sentence is Myari-san wa Nara e ikimashita. Mary went to Nara. It ends in ikimashita. So we have the option to express our purpose phrase as conjunctive plus ni. Todaiji wo mini, in order to see Todaiji Temple. In order to see Todaiji Temple, Mary went to Nara. We can also say, Myari-san wa Todaiji wo miru tame ni Nara e ikimashita. 仕事が終わったら飲みに行きましょう。仕事が終わったら飲みに行きましょう。Our main sense here is 仕事が終わったら行きましょう。When work ends, let's go. Let's go for what? For drinks. 飲みに. When work is done, let's go out to drink. We can also say 仕事が終わったら飲むために行きましょう。By the way, the tara conjugation indicates if or when, and you can review this conjugation in lesson 62C. The masho conjugation indicates volition or invitation, and you can review it in lesson 34. Another example, Nihongo wo benkyou shi ni Nihon ni ikimasu. Nihongo wo benkyou shi ni Nihon ni ikimasu. Our main sentence is Nihon ni ikimasu. I will go to Japan. What for? Nihongo wo benkyou shi ni. In order to study Japanese. In order to study Japanese, I will go to Japan. We can also say Nihongo wo benkyou suru tame ni Nihon ni ikimasu. The next examples use the verb kuru, to come. Tanaka-san ga kimi to ai ni kimasu. Tanaka-san ga kimi to ai ni kimasu. Main sense is Tanaka-san ga kimasu. Mr. Tanaka will come. What for? In order to meet you. Kimi to ai ni. Mr. Tanaka will come to see you. We can also say Tanaka-san ga kimi to au tame ni kimasu. Next example, asobi ni ie ni kite kudasai. Asobi ni ie ni kite kudasai. Main sense is ie ni kite kudasai. Please come to my home. What for? Asobi ni, to play. Please come to my house to play, or please come to my house to have fun. Now we can also say asobu tame ni ie ni kite kudasai. The te kudasai conjugation indicates request, and we learned this in lesson 39. Next example, 試験を受けに学校に来ないといけません。試験を受けに学校に来ないといけません。Main sense is 学校に来ないといけません。You must come to school. By the way, the nai to ikenai conjugation indicates must, and you can review this in lesson 63. So what's the purpose of coming to school? 試験を受けに, in order to write the test. You must come to school in order to write the exam. We can also say 試験を受けるために学校に来ないといけません。Next few examples use kaeru, to return home, as the main verb. For example, 毎日昼ご飯を食べに家に帰ります。毎日昼ご飯を食べに家に帰ります。The main sentence is 毎日家に帰ります。 I go home every day. What for? In order to eat lunch. 昼ご飯を食べに. I go home every day in order to eat lunch. Now we can also say 毎日昼ご飯を食べるために家に帰ります。フィリピンに休みに帰りたい。フィリピンに休みに帰りたい。The main sense is フィリピンに帰りたい。I want to return to the Philippines. What for? 休みに for vacation. I want to return to the Philippines for vacation. We can also say フィリピンに休むために帰りたい. By the way, the Thai conjugation indicates want to do, and we studied this conjugation in detail in lesson 47. Last example, 着替えに帰った方がいいです。着替えに帰った方がいいです。Main sense is 帰った方がいいです。It's better to go home. The た方がいい conjugation indicates advice, and we study this in lesson 56. It's better to go home for what purpose? 着替えに in order to change clothes. It's better to go home to change your clothes. We can also say 着替えるために帰った方がいいです。To summarize, in this lesson, we learned how to use the pseudonoun tame ni to express purpose as well as reason. Tame ni can modify verbs, adjectives, and nouns. The verbs and adjectives have to be in the plain forms. For nouns, we use the particle no in between. Noun no tame ni. The particle ni is optional if a phrase follows tame in the sentence. When the main verb of the sentence is to go, iku, come, kuru, or to return, kaeru, we have the option to express purpose using the conjugation conjunctive plus ni. For example, let's go to eat. Tabe ni ikimashou instead of taberu tame ni ikimashou. So this ends our lesson on tame ni. I'll see you in the next one. お疲れ様でした. If you're serious about becoming fluent in Japanese, it's important to practice daily, learn grammar, and build up vocabulary. My whole course is designed to give you a strong basic foundation in the Japanese language that you can build solidly upon. So please click like, share, or subscribe, and watch the next video in the series. Nihongo no benkyou ni ganbatte kudasai. じゃあまたね。